Prince Charming isn't real. Prince Charming isn't coming. And if you want a Prince Charming, you have to turn a frog into a Prince Charming.
Really?
Yeah.
Today's guest is a fellow Aquarius just like me.
People like us have a habit of seeking validation since we were kids. Oops, have I said too much?
Itna sach bol diya. We dove deep, to quote ChatGPT, into really the inner workings of our own psyche, and I think we learned more than anything that maybe we still have a lot of work left to do.
I have practically dated the same guy for the last 8 years. I was comparing texts from my first boyfriend and my last boyfriend. I was like, damn.
It's the same in different fonts.
Same, yeah.
Deja vu.
Deja vu.
And we covered religion, politics. Would you ever date someone who had different political views than you?
I have, and it doesn't fare well.
What do I say about Himakshi? What do I say? She's from Panipat. She's beautiful. She's so grounded. She's so rooted in her own value system.
The sort of upbringing that I and my friends had in Panipat, we are brought up to be really, really kind and very respectful. On the other hand, when I see people who are born and brought up in Delhi, Gurgaon, I think they can be a little more kinder.
They have scope for improvement there.
Yeah, definitely.
Most strong-willed, opinionated, and determined person that I've met in a long time.
I don't think there is anything more sexy out there than clear communication and clarity. And if we both are going out, I will text you. I will not think that I'm a woman and I should not be texting you. I will text you regardless.
Yeah.
Call me a feminist, but I do that. I'm also a human being.
So let's try to find out who she is together. Subscribe! Welcome back to another episode of Love Handle, dealing with all things love and relationships. Welcome, Himakshi.
Thank you so much, Chandra.
What I'd love to start out with is understanding what space you're in with your love life.
The space I'm in actually is called happiness. I'm happy wherever I am.
Okay.
No men around. I'm loving where I am right now. I'm looking for the right person, so whenever they come along. But at the same time, not desperately looking.
What does the right person look like? What's your ideal husband?
Someone who understands, someone who communicates, someone who knows how to resolve conflicts, someone who doesn't get aggressive at little things. So yeah, I mean, even in life partner, I'm looking for a friendship. Like a lifetime of friendship. Someone I can be myself with, you know?
With that being said, what is the biggest challenge you're facing in dating right now?
Value alignment.
Okay.
When I meet a guy that I want to date, or, you know, if my parents are setting me up with someone, the value usually doesn't align, and what we call as vibe these days. So if you're not able to have a basic conversation with this other person, if in the first 15 minutes of this conversation, they start asking you about who is your Guruji, then I don't know what else to talk about, right?
You mentioned like your parents sometimes introduce you to people, sometimes you meet people through other avenues. What have you found is the best way to identify prospects who might share similar values to you?
Through friends. Like friends know you and accept you just the way you are, even more than your parents, you know. So sometimes parents with the best intentions at their heart show you some profile, they show you this guy that they think is the perfect match for you, but they don't know you so much. On the other hand, your friends know you so much better. So when they introduce you to someone, they know what they're doing. They know what kind of person you are, what you like, what you don't like, and what you are looking in a partner. So I think that's one of the best avenues. But on the other hand, you never know where you might find someone. You might just bump into them.
Have you ever bumped into someone in an unexpected, like unconventional way?
So many times. There have been people in my life and musicians, since we were talking about music a while back. I met them through Instagram.
Okay.
And it's been lovely.
What, they slid in the DMs?
Sometimes they did, sometimes I did.
Okay, girl. Yes, love that.
I slid into their DMs just to tell them that, you know, I really like your music. And then it turned into a thing after a while. So yeah.
That's awesome.
And I don't think as a human being, you should hold yourself back in telling someone that they're good.
I have found myself in situations where I have had to hold myself back.
If a secure person is telling you, communicating very, very clearly from day one, their intentions with you, I don't think there is anything more sexy out there than clear communication and clarity. And if we both are going out, I will text you. I will not think that I'm a woman and I should not be texting you. I will text you regardless.
Yeah.
Call me a feminist, but I do that. I'm also a human being. I don't think dating should be so hard. You should just be clearly communicating your needs, your requirements. And sometimes it might come off as too strong, but what do you have to lose?
Yeah. And like the right person wouldn't be deterred by you expressing your admiration for them.
Yeah. You can't expect your partner to give you 100% when you are not ready to give that 100%. So it's like 100 from both of them. I don't believe in one person is doing 20 and the other is doing 80. I mean, it can be some days, but at the same time, you both should strive to be your 100%.
Totally.
Because that's how relationships work. I mean, you can't expect the other person to just do everything in that relationship.
Coming from a smaller town, right, and having certain values that you were raised with, what has dating in Delhi/Gurgaon been like for you?
The only difference that I see is the upbringing. So the sort of upbringing that I and my friends had in Panipat, we are brought up to be really, really kind and very respectful. On the other hand, when I see people who are born and brought up in Delhi, Gurgaon, I think they can be a little more kinder.
They have scope for improvement there.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any stories from like dating around here that really opened your eyes to the reality of humanity?
Sure. I think it was 2.5 or 3 years back. So after 1 week of constantly texting and calling each other, we finally met, and it was one of the perfect dates.
Really?
Like,
okay.
We spent it was really hot. We were in CP and we spent the entire day holding hands. And after 2 days, that guy just ghosted me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't need this low effort shit from anyone. So I am dumping you. Stop calling me now. And you don't expect that to happen if the other person is bringing you flowers on the date, if they're coming to drop you off. Right?
Why do you think that happens, that massive contrast between words and actions? One might make promises or commitments about the future and then their actions don't have follow through. Why do you think that is?
I think that's a very avoidant behavior in a lot of us. We all want commitment. We all crave for someone to understand us. But the moment someone starts coming near us, someone starts to show that intimacy, we are afraid. We just curl back up and we are like, okay, this is getting too much and too soon. So that's peak typical avoidant behavior that a lot of us do. Honestly, all of these avoidant people are also looking for very, very secure human beings.
But don't you think you should work on being secure yourself before looking for a secure person?
Definitely. But not everyone knows they're avoidant, right? So yeah.
What is your attachment style?
I used to have an avoidant attachment style. I started working on it. In the middle, I think I became anxious avoidant, but now I'm finally at a place where I can call myself like 70% secure and 30% anxious, if that makes sense.
I also think when you're not in a relationship, it's really easy to feel secure. It's an illusion, like it's a false sense of safety, right? Because when you're not in a relationship, you're not being challenged. Those vulnerabilities aren't put on display for someone else. Your childhood, trauma isn't being confronted every day. So I really feel like you really don't know until you're with someone again. And what does that feeling of intimacy trigger in you? Like, does it trigger fear, discomfort? Does it trigger more anxiousness or something in between?
Yes. And even during the relationship, I realized a lot of things that, okay, if I am projecting this pattern, this is linked to what happened during my childhood. So you acknowledge it and you start working on it. But that doesn't mean, we are all twisted. We are all complex. No one is 100% secure. And even if one is 100% secure, as you were mentioning, if one is upfront, they are communicating clearly, that is taken as a negative sign by the other person, right?
It can scare people away too.
Exactly.
Have you observed any patterns in your love life?
I have practically dated the same guy for the last 8 years.
Wow.
The same guy.
Wow. A bold and
just
brave,
in a different body.
a brave statement to make here today on Love Handle.
I
But
know,
it's true.
It's true. It's true.
Happens. So what has been your type so far?
Psychotically anxious.
Really?
Yeah.
हाँ कि तुम हो avoidant मुझे लगता है. मुझे वो vibes वैसे भी Aquarians होते हैं थोड़े से.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I like to think I'm more secure.
Right. No, I'm sure you've worked on it since then.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
it's a tendency to attract. Avoidant people do tend to attract anxious people.
Yeah, but sometimes you also attract avoidant people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, two avoidant people can never make it.
You really have to work on yourself to work towards secure.
I agree, and it's a lifetime journey.
It
honestly.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, I realized this. I was comparing texts from my first boyfriend and my last boyfriend. I was like, damn,
It's the same in different font.
Same, yeah.
Deja vu.
Deja vu.
Crazy.
It's crazy, but now that I've had time to reflect on it, I know what I'm not looking for. So yeah.
Detaching or divorcing your identity from the patterns that you exhibited in the past. Like, just because you were a certain way or acted a certain way is not a curse for the rest of your life. Like, we are malleable. We're constantly changing. And so we can change for the better too.
I absolutely agree, and I don't think I am the person I was 3 months back.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was last week. I don't associate with her. I'm not liable for her behavior. Just kidding. So what is the biggest red flag in a guy? And don't say being rude to waitstaff, because that's obvious.
I mean, where do I even start? And a lot of times you don't see those red flags until you are in that relationship, because at the beginning you're going out on dates, everything is perfect, you're wearing your pink sunglasses, and you don't see those red flags. But I think effort, some people don't make an effort, and you're attracted to that low effort person. That's
nonchalant man.
The nonchalant man. And that's his red flag, but also your red flag.
I've fallen victim to this all the time. Like, what in me is so unhealed that I am drawn to something so inadequate for me? Like, I think that's what I'm worth.
Probably.
Yikes.
Yeah, probably people like us have a habit of seeking validation since we were kids. Oops, have I said too much?
Itna sach bol diya.
So yeah, I mean, even as adults, we seek validation from our parents, from our partners, and that is really reflected
in who we choose.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying, you know, it takes a conscious effort at each and every step. It takes conscious effort, step by step, for you to analyze that situation and take a step back and just reflect on it. That new Himakshi, new Chandra will not do this.
It's hard though.
It's very
like
hard.
to be able to catch yourself and then change it it's like rewiring something that was ingrained decades ago, like when you were very, 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 very small. So to be able to step out of that, it's like it's a battle. It really is.
It's a battle, but at the same time, now that we're growing up, it's our own battle and it's our responsibility.
What's your red flag? I know
I
you're
don't have a red
perfect.
flag.
You're perfect. I know that. I agree.
I'm not a perfect person.
But if you were to zoom out and look at yourself from a third person view,
sometimes it's very hard for me to understand the other person's perspective. I mean, I call myself open, I call myself liberal, but at the same time, it's very hard for me to understand the other person's perspective.
Isn't disagreement though sort of like nice and interesting in a relationship? Like,
oh yeah,
that
definitely.
Intellectual challenge, doesn't that create something more exciting than just a boring yes man?
Absolutely agree, and that's one of the red flags that I've been working on.
Yeah. Would you ever date someone who had different political views than you?
I have, and it doesn't fare well. But if it works for someone, then good for them. It just doesn't work for me. It hasn't worked for me. Because I can't be secular all the time. I can't be centrist all the time and tell them, okay, try to explain them, okay, this is not how the world works. The world is not an extreme. So just look at my point of view. Yeah.
Politics is not just something that's happening out there that doesn't affect the rest of us. Everything is political. Food is political. Water is political. Like, every single decision you make in your day is somewhere a political statement that you're making, right? Being non-vegetarian versus being vegetarian, being able to walk outside and be in a safe environment, like all of these things. So if politics are a downstream effect of your own values, then in a way, disagreeing on politics also kind of means somewhere you're disagreeing on values and what's important to you and what you care about.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you religious?
I don't call myself religious. I call myself spiritual.
Would you want your husband to share the same religious beliefs as you?
Not necessarily. I mean, we can be respectful of each other's religion and religious beliefs for that matter. And it all, I think, comes down to how do we want to raise the kids?
How will you raise the kids?
Yeah, we'll let the kids decide.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're 18 and we'll let them decide whichever religion you want to choose. A person should be good, doesn't matter what their religious beliefs are.
What's one thing you wish men understood about women better?
We like attention. A lot of it. And by a lot of it, I mean the right amount. Not too much.
That's not complicated at all. It's so easy to follow for our viewers.
And at the right time.
Yeah.
Showing up and making effort is really important.
But not too much and not too intense. No, I'm joking.
Right balance.
The right balance.
The right balance.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, right? We've all been there when a man is not putting any efforts versus when a man is putting too many efforts.
True.
We always want them to strike the right balance, and sometimes you're stuck in the middle. I think if you find a guy who's making just the right efforts at just the right time, you're gold.
What does that look like?
So I wouldn't talk about materialistic things. Anyone can bring flowers. Anybody can open the door for you. My girlfriends do that for me all the time. But the effort would be to show up in conversations, to show up that you really believe and support what I'm doing, that, you know, you remembered a little detail about their day. So I was watching this clip the other day where, you know, Rachel McAdams tells Ryan Gosling in The Notebook that I want this kind of house, and he remembered that detail.
The white house with the blue,
with the blue porch, and it was like there should be a river on the side, and I think that's that level of attention that this guy has given this woman. I think it's amazing.
I think one big gap between men and women also may stem from the different types of media that each of us consumes. For example, there's this whole concept of like men written by women, where in a lot of our fantasy novels, in a lot of our rom-coms that we watch, the stories that we as women really, really gravitate towards, the Bridgertons of the world, you know, you keep seeing these men who are immeasurably, just impossibly charming, right? Who know exactly the right things to say. It's us in our own world creating these fantasy Prince Charming men who remember those tiny details and who think in the way that we as women think. We sort of impose our thought process sometimes on men and assume that they're thinking the same way that we do. On the other end of the spectrum, I think the media that men consume about women, or that include women, is probably a much more sexualized, much more objectified version of women. So there's also the concept of like women written by men, which is essentially like the Sydney Sweeney conception of a woman who really has a very specific look and who really doesn't say or think or do that much otherwise, right? So meanwhile, we have all these men consuming all this content, pornographic content or media that just depicts women in a certain way written by men. So I strongly feel that this gap is causing really skewed expectations out of what we can look for in a partner.
I mean, I don't know what content are men consuming. I'm sure there are some decent men who are consuming decent content. Similarly, there are women who are not consuming this Prince Charming content. And honestly, that Prince Charming isn't real. That Prince Charming isn't coming. And my thoughts are that if you want a Prince Charming, you have to turn a frog into a Prince Charming.
Really?
Yeah, you have to put so many efforts. You basically have to teach men how to be with women. And you can't expect a man to be born with it.
Sometimes being in a relationship is partly involves accepting someone for who they are and making a choice knowing that someone may have some weaknesses and that yes, you can work on them together and you have your own weaknesses and then in some cases you just let it be. Like some things are also not worth the efforts of changing.
I agree. And the other day I was listening to Mel Robbins and she said that she was talking to her daughter and her daughter was like, this man is nothing like dad. And she goes, do you think your dad has always been the way he is right now? No. He was a mess when I met him when we were in our 20s. I had to mold him. Now that he's more than 60 years old, now he's somewhere at 75 to 80% of my acceptable levels. But I had to bring him there. He had the capacity to be brought here. And I think all we are looking for is that capacity to change within ourselves and also in our partners.
A growth mindset. Someone who's open to learning.
Exactly.
Nice.
I'm also trying to learn and unlearn so many things.
He's a 10, but he has a girl best friend.
I've been in a situation like this and I broke up with a guy a month later.
Wow.
Because he had a girl best friend and who was jealous as fuck. So yeah, I would actually rate a 3.5.
It's crowded when there's 3 people in a relationship.
Yeah.
He's a 10, but he checks his phone in the middle of a conversation.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on this.
But he's a 10, okay?
That's a red flag. I would call this a red flag. If you're enjoying a conversation with me, why the fuck are you checking your phone? So 5.5.
He's a 10, but he's a vegan.
I am myself lactose intolerant. I think I would rate him 10. I have nothing against veganism.
He's a 4, but he has 0 posts on Instagram and 10 following.
He's a creep.
Wow. Yeah, sus. It's sus behavior. In the big year of 2026. He's an 8, but he's a workaholic.
I think being workaholic isn't bad if you're really loving your job. I mean, that doesn't hurt. So I would say, okay, 8.
He's a 10, but he has body odor.
He's a 2. I mean, why would I want to even talk with this person?
Sad day. He's a 10, but he's 5'8".
I'm 5'4". I think he's gold.
Do you have a height criteria?
Yeah. I mean, I should be able to wear 4 inches tall heels, right?
वो तो आप ऐसे भी कर सकते हो.
I'm okay with it. But will the guy be okay with it? I don't want to throw my heels out when I'm marrying this guy.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous suggestion.
Exactly. Why would I change the way I want to be just to be with this man that I don't even love?
That was all my questions.
Yay!
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Love Handle. If you enjoyed this video, do be sure to hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!